Hey Fit Mothers, it's Dr. Ray, and I want to welcome you to this special video series all about your pelvic floor. This is a three-part video series featuring my friend, Dr. Khristian from Motherhood Empowered, where we're going to go over different kinds of stretches, relaxation exercises, and some strengthening exercises to help the health of your pelvic floor. And in this first video in the series, Dr. Khristian's actually going to explain some of the anatomy of the pelvic floor and why this actually matters to you, because the way I see it personally is that these muscles at the bottom of our pelvis are literally like anchoring this entire structure and house, but we don't even really ever talk about them or exercise them or learn how to stretch them. We're going to fix all that in this series. Now, this is important to you if you've had kids in the past and you've had a lot of changes happen to your pelvic floor. And especially as you get older, many of us find that there's things like urinary incontinence, painful intercourse. All this is related to your pelvic floor. So in this first video, Dr. K is going to get in and talk about some of the anatomy and why this matters. And in videos 2, we're going to get into some relaxation techniques, and video 3, some strengthening. So tune in for this entire series. I know you're going to absolutely love it. Now I want to turn it over to you for a little bit just to give them a preview and also maybe talk a little bit about why this matters to you and why you actually dedicated your life to becoming a doctor of physical therapy and teaching pelvic floor stuff to women.
So I've been a pelvic floor therapist for 2 years now, but a therapist in general for 6 years, and a couple of years ago I started to have my own pelvic floor symptoms. I was having kids and my friends were experiencing some of these things, and I really just wanted to jump into this specialty where I could help people who were just like me and really give people education on something that's really overlooked and not talked about. And so that's why I got into this, and I'm excited to help you guys.
Cool. So in this first video, we're going to get right into some of the anatomy of the pelvic floor and why this is important. I'm going to step out, turn it over to Dr. K, and I will see you in the next couple of videos in the series as we go through the amazing stretches and strengthening exercises. Enjoy this one, and I'll see you in the series.
Okay, so in talking about pelvic floor function, the first thing we're going to talk about is the anatomy and why the pelvic floor is important, what it is, why it matters. So when we talk about the pelvic floor, we're talking about the bottom of this canister that makes up our entire abdomen, okay? This canister, think about a soda can, okay? The top of that can is going to be our diaphragm. The bottom of that can is going to be our pelvic floor, and all that wraps around is going to be our abs, our back, all these muscles that make up our abdomen. So all of those things have to work well together in order to have good pelvic floor function. So as our diaphragm moves up and down, our pelvic floor also moves up and down. And if one of those things doesn't work well, that's where we start to have some issues. So some of the main issues that I see in pelvic floor therapy is going to be things like urinary incontinence. So this can be with activity like running, jumping, lifting, experiencing leakage when you go to do those activities. Sometimes people get urinary leakage just because they get a quick urge that comes on so strong that they can't hold it, okay? This can happen at any phase of life, especially pregnancy, postpartum. That's when it most commonly starts to happen. And then with aging, it starts to get worse as we go through menopause. Hormonal changes can cause our pelvic floor muscles to not work as well. There can be a lot of other factors too, but the pelvic floor does play a big role. Another reason that I see people in pelvic floor therapy is for what we call pelvic organ prolapse, or where we start to get like some vaginal heaviness, so you feel pressure down there that just doesn't feel right. Prolapse happens when one or more of the organs inside of our pelvic floor kind of starts to drop down into the vaginal canal. So those pelvic floor muscles are designed to hold those pelvic organs up. So your bladder, your uterus, your rectum, and if those muscles are really tight or really weak, it can cause those to start to kind of drop down into the vaginal canal, and you can start to feel that pressure. It sounds scary, but pelvic organ prolapse or that vaginal heaviness can be treated with therapy and some of the things that we're going to talk about in this series of videos. The final thing that people might need pelvic floor physical therapy for, or a reason that you might need to address your pelvic floor, is any pain with vaginal penetration. So this can be intercourse, tampon usage. Those things should never be painful. Any amount of pain or discomfort with any of those activities is not normal and is typically a sign of pelvic floor dysfunction. So stay tuned for these videos where we're going to teach you how to relax your pelvic floor and how to strengthen your pelvic floor, and those things can start to address these symptoms that you might have.
I am so excited for this video series. Dr. Khristian, thanks for being here and at least explaining in this first video why this stuff matters. The reason I want to actually get this out and publish it on our Fit Mother community is because we focus on so many of these muscles that are just more like conventional, like better butt, better arms, better core. But like this is the deep intrinsic structures of our bodies that control some of these key vital functions and not enough people are talking about. So this series is amazing. And this week, we're going to drop the next video in the series where we're going to start to get into some breathing exercises and some relaxation stretches to help open that pelvic floor. And I want you to check this series out. I want you to go through this next video. We're going to publish it very soon to keep this momentum going, because when you incorporate these into your life, your health is going to be so much better. Whether or not you feel like you're having pelvic floor issues right now, this is something you need to integrate into your life. So Dr. K, thank you for this. Excited for the second video. Okay, stay tuned for that. That's coming your way very soon. And if you subscribe to our channel, you get notified when we publish new videos. So that's a really good thing to do. In the meantime, hit a thumbs up and drop a comment below if you had any past experience with pelvic floor issues. Did you have a pregnancy? Do you find sometimes you have urinary incontinence? Have you experienced that in your life? Let's start to get the discussion going, because as you know with YouTube, it's not just the fact that the videos are great, the comments are also really great, and we're going to be in here commenting back and talking so much about pelvic floor health. So thanks for being here, my friend. I'll see you in part 2 very soon. So we'll Dr. K, and we'll talk to you very soon.